Okay, now time.
Hello.
Oh, it worked. Okay,
W-
cool.
Welcome, world.
Awesome. Okay, so now we are live, and we have a funny blooper for everybody that we'll probably upload first as a short today. First of all, welcome to the Cast. This is my beautiful wife, Lindsay. And
Hello.
for all 12 of you watching, we're going to talk today about dating, love, marriage, because you are the leading expert on this, aren't you?
Sure.
No, I was actually
I
talking about this in.
snagged you.
So you are the expert.
Wait,
Yeah, do the thumbs. Everyone's like, your special effects are
hold on.
sick.
One more.
Where's the heart? It's wait. It maybe has to.
Yeah, it has to wait for the
That one
fireworks
has
to
to.
go off.
Here, put it down and then put it back up. There it goes. There it goes. Nice.
Yes,
We got a
Apple
killer. We got a
thing.
killer special effects team. No, I was talking about this though in spiritual direction today about how
Mm.
we were doing. This is before everything started. I obviously don't just go in there and talk about the podcast, but we're talking about dating and stuff. And he asked me what we are going to do to continue our Lent like momentum and continue it through Easter and the rest of the year. So I was like, that's a great question. And I personally think that we gave up screens. I guess we can say it now. We try not to say it during Lent, but we gave up screens and stuff to spend more time with our family and everything. But I feel like when we met for Lent, anytime we tried to talk about it, we never really got really far with it. But then it ended up being, without going into details, it ended up being like one of the more trying times for us. Like
Mm-hmm.
this was a pretty tough season for us as
Yeah,
far
just life
as
in
just
general.
life in general. Yeah, and so it was a good spiritual direction this morning because we talked about how we naturally as humans want to on a roller coaster of life when they're on the highs we want to revert to Jesus and prayer and go to mass and all that stuff. But when we get into those lows, it's so natural to, at least for men. Women might be different. You can speak to that, but for men, it's more so like I got to fix this. I got to do this. And do you remember how angry I used to get anytime I would be in those lows? And you'd be like, "Have you prayed about it?" And I'm like, "Don't ask me that."
Yes, I remember
It was pretty good.
that.
So, but how do you feel after Lent?
um, I mean, I kind of feel like I am kind of just, I don't know, I feel like I'm still in Lent
Hmm. Yeah.
just because, I mean, the goal is still to like stay off of screens
Mm-hmm.
and play with the children. And the
Mm-hmm.
goal, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, we're still going through a hard season
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in life with, I guess just finances. We just moving into
Mm-hmm.
a new rental place and getting out of the apartment. And there's a lot of costs that comes with that. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so trying to look at the bright side
Mm-hmm.
and trust God, even though it's not necessarily, we're not just frolicking through daisies or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it kind of still feels like we're in Lent based on the stuff that we were experiencing during Lent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because nothing's got
So,
easier. It's not like Lent's over now. Like, oh, thank goodness, we don't have to suffer anymore. We don't have to sacrifice anything. It's like we're
yeah.
for us, we're person because I told him in spiritual direction that although we didn't really set aside from saying, okay, we don't want to do screens, we really didn't the conversation never really went too much further of like what do we want to add, what do we want to, at least for me personally, what do we want to add, what do we want to how do we want to get better spiritually, and what else do we want to give up other than screens that we kind of naturally all
Hmm.
the time want to try to stay off of. um, and I told him that I felt like that maybe, I'm not saying this is what has happened, but maybe like God was like kind of like not distracting us from it, but making it so like, don't focus on it because this is going to be a pretty trying time. Like
Hmm.
you don't need to put together some strict list. You're about to go through something tough, and so that might also not be the case at all. But I feel like this wasn't the most organized and scripted Lent we've had, but it was
Hmm.
definitely one of the most sacrificial. And I feel like we grew a lot through this
Hmm.
Lent, which was good.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
yeah,
agree. I think the next question though would be like, how are we gonna, what are we gonna do to make this an Easter season?
yeah, hmm
Because again, I feel like we're still doing Lent stuff, even
hmm
though we're not like actively and we're not, oh, it's Lent, so we gotta do this.
yeah,
Or we have to not do this. Now it's like, okay, how are we gonna make it Easter? How are we gonna like
hmm
show that we are in celebration season?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good
So,
question. I feel like that's a good question, and also, yeah, to keep encouraging people to not think of like, yeah, Lent is this what 40-day time of sacrifice and living, trying to live closer to God and getting rid of distractions and adding spiritual benefits to, and not thinking of just those 40 days, but really it's like, how do you get your mindset of like, how do I get my life to be like that? It's
mhm.
like if during Lent you give up caffeine and you offer that up, and that's been your vice, which that could be one of mine. But you give that up, and you're not only helping your health, but your spiritual health, whatever.
Mhm.
But then as soon as Lent goes, and like on Easter, you're pounding 3 coffees and an energy drink. It's like, how do we get the rest of our, how do we get just our everyday thought process to be more focused like Lent? Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we talked about in spiritual direction. That's good.
That's good. I need to
Yeah.
get on spiritual direction.
Yeah,
I
you
get
too.
jealous every time you talk
Just
about it.
kidding. Yeah, it's great. We need to. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out
Yeah.
what day will be best.
Yeah.
But
I
the
used to do
kids
it with
can just
Father
come up here.
Carey. Yeah.
Maybe it
I
needs
used
to
to do
be
it with
during
Father Carey,
Tuesday
but
lunch. Maybe like
hmm?
Tuesday at noon. You could drop the kids off at 11:30 with me. They could hang out with me during Tuesday lunch. You could eat at 11:30. Then you go to spiritual direction from noon to 1ish. Maybe a little bit at their nap time though.
Yeah, well, they haven't been going to bed until like almost 2.
Yeah.
Like us almost not being able to do this.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I'm glad you're on. And we're going to talk today a little bit more about dating and marriage, engaged people, engagement.
Engaged encounter.
Wait, that's the wrong order. But I want to talk a little bit about that too, because just like Lent, and we can focus and have our mindset right on the right things, and then kind of go just revert back. I feel like I am very, very grateful that I am not in the dating world right now. I feel like
Hmm.
we're in a very strange time of like people that nowadays, like I feel like the only place you could find a good girl or a good guy is like literally at church, at your church family, church community. Now you may run into them like on Riverside, or I don't know. I mean, you could run into them at a bar or something, but nowadays the world is so crazy out there, that I feel like your best bet would be to hang around your church.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, with the books that I've been reading, how people used to meet up. But it was always, I feel like it was always through like family friends.
hmm
So that could also be
You're talking about like old days, like
historical
1800s.
fiction. Yeah.
Yeah,
Early 1900s.
yeah. No,
But if we
but
were to bring like some of that back
yeah.
in a sense of like it wasn't, I mean, some people obviously did have arranged marriages,
hmm
um but a lot of the times it was like somewhat of an arranged marriage in a
hmm
sense because you only had you only hung out with certain like groups. And
hmm
so,
Yeah.
for example, if that would be now, it would be like, okay, your circle is church, and so you have
hmm
people from church to choose,
hmm
or you have family friends to choose
Yeah.
instead of just being able to like, I don't know, you meet your neighbor
hmm
and you guys get married or
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, go to a
Yeah.
park and it's like, oh hey stranger who I have no idea
hmm
what your life is like.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like nowadays it's almost the same as like, or what dating should be like is like focus their win build send, like that almost is like, at least part of it can be like, or maybe not, I don't know, maybe this doesn't make any sense at all, but be like in dating, like in the win stage at least, where they're like trying to win someone over. It's everything is built out of a relationship, and
Hmm.
just like evangelization, the little way and Jesus' way of doing things, that it should be always out of a relationship. That if I wanted to really show someone like the gospel or the Catholic faith, um, I need to start that whole process by becoming really good friends with them and slowly introducing it to them and knowing this is going to be a long-term type thing, and investing in somebody, investing time into them, and coming out of that friend stage, because I feel like that's where you grow the closest. We kind of skipped over that step, but we we developed that pretty quick. We developed that friendship and stuff really fast.
Which
And
happens whenever you work with each other 8 hours a
yeah,
day.
that is true. We spent a ton of time together, which I guess if someone is just dating and they're in school or they're working, that 8 hours a day for 5 days, so 40 hours, that'll typically take someone a couple months to hang out with someone that long,
Yeah.
versus us, and we did it in a week. So that's why we got married so fast.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Also, when
Um,
you know.
yep. Um, but yeah, so nowadays though too, and I feel like what we're running into is, um, people like are dating but not for the right reasons, maybe like I feel like a statement that not everybody would agree with would be that anyone you're dating, you should be dating with the intent to marry that person.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think there's any other reason to call each other boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't think there's any other reason to hold hands and kiss and be romantic with each other unless you have that intent to marry them. I'm not saying that every person you date should be like, yeah, okay, I think this is going to be the girl I'm marrying. Like, you don't have to be like a crazy person about it, but the intention should just be there. I don't know if that makes sense. What
Yeah,
I'm
like
saying.
I'm discerning on if I want to marry this person or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Kind of like
And
we were talking.
through dating is where you will, find out like, oh, I don't think that we're compatible in that way, or
Hmm. Yeah.
I think that we're compatible in this way, so we will continue dating until
Hmm.
like we make the decision.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something if you're upfront with someone about too. Again, you have to say it not like a crazy person of like, I would love to take you on a date to see if we are compatible to be married, but if you're upfront, like just the conversation, and that's just where it's heading, and not being so freaked out, like asking somebody, like I don't think it's inappropriate on a first date to ask someone like what they kind of see their future looking like what do you kind of see
Mhm.
yourself wanting to get married? Do you see yourself wanting to have kids? How do you want to raise your kids? Stuff like that. I feel like those are actually really good first date questions where a lot of people would say like you're a crazy person if you bring that stuff up.
I don't think that it's crazy. However, I think that the first date can just be mostly like, do we get along? And
Hmm.
so you don't have to
Yeah.
really like you don't have to bring up marriage or like what the plan is in the future
Hmm.
or what kind of kids, how many kids, and how are you going to raise them and stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Instead, first it can just be, um, like, do we get along? Do we have fun together?
Hmm.
Um, do we have similar humors? Or if we don't have
Hmm.
similar humors, do I think your humor is funny? Do you think my humor is funny?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. Yeah, you don't have to jump right into the serious stuff, and that can still be like someone can still be right in saying, like, I want to wait and I don't want to jump into those kind of conversations until later on. That can also be right too, as long as the intention in your heart's always there,
Hmm.
to do that. Like this whole like kind of hookup culture or dating around type thing is obviously toxic, but I think the plus in it all is the stuff we've been talking about, like Isabella Brown and some of those stats she's been coming out with, saying that I don't know what research studies it is. I know I think she's just conveying them. I don't think she's the one actually conducting them, but saying that this Gen Z population that coming up through college and stuff right now is actually like rebelling against, which we always naturally rebel, but they're rebelling against what the world's teaching right now, which the world's teaching there's no rules to anything and you can be whatever you want, do whatever you want, and they're actually rebelling against that and heading back towards tradition, heading back towards even like tradition of the faith, but tradition in just dating and stuff too, which is super cool. And I know she
Mhm.
said there's like polls saying that like that red flags on a date. Like I saw this whole episode, but there's like red flags on a date, and like the younger generation thinks it's a red flag if the guy doesn't open the door for them, or if the guy doesn't pay for the first date, and stuff like that. Stuff that would be traditionally considered traditional,
Mhm.
traditionally considered traditional. Interesting statement there. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. So that's good and promising for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with both, and this has to do with a whole bunch of different topics,
Mm-hmm.
but I love going back to tradition
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, that's just like, I wish that I was born in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
So like, I love tradition and I love old-fashioned dating, marriage,
Mm-hmm.
life, just in general. However, I think that with how far we came on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be some compromise because like it could be a red flag that they don't open the door for you. However, that's kind of like not a part of our culture anymore.
Yeah.
It is a part of some, you know, if you go to, I mean, just like for example, Southern culture is to say ma'am and sir,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't hear that a lot,
Yeah.
you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's how you were raised and sometimes I mean if we're going with red flags, like that would be a red flag. You didn't open my door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also I would have yes, I would have loved that. That would have probably been like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel fancy, you know, like I
Yeah.
feel so
Yeah.
feminine because you opened my door.
Mm.
But I also know that like that's not a common thing that happens these days. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you can't grow, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that like you open my door every now and then, you know,
Mm-hmm.
now,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially like when we do go on dates, and it's like
Yeah.
let's make this special,
Yeah.
and just yeah, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there has to be this like this compromise just because society has shifted so far to the other side
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't mean that a man can't get there to
Yeah.
opening your door, and you can maybe
Mm-hmm.
eventually like communicate that of like I would feel really great if you would open my door because I just want
Mm-hmm.
to feel like a lady.
Yeah.
And I could tell you that, and you
Mm-hmm.
would say, okay. And then you would start opening my door every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except mostly I'm like, hey, I want to just get in the car. You go on your side, I'll go on my side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we can get in the car.
Let's get there fast. Kind of like Father Elkin was saying about the apathy, and he was talking about like you go to the 8 a.m. mass because there's no music, just to save a few seconds or a minute. It's like we got to get to that restaurant 30 seconds faster. So let's both.
Right.
You just open your own door. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
But it.
so, yeah, that's like seconds, only seconds shaved off
Mm-hmm.
when that could be a really like special moment for us of you
Yeah.
opening my door and like our kids
Mm-hmm.
seeing that you're opening my door. And then that
Mm-hmm.
instills in Adeline that doors should be
Yeah.
opened for her. And it
Yeah.
instills in Benedict that he should open doors.
Yeah.
So maybe we should start that.
Mm. Anyway, thanks for being on. No, I'm just kidding. No, in the red flag video, I definitely felt personally attacked, but
Yeah.
in a good way, because it was like, oh dang, yeah, you're right. That's because it was, but it was kind of like the Bluey thing where like we had what our cousin would ever say like, do you guys ever feel like bad parents? Don't you think it's attacking parents because that's unrealistic to be parents like that? And it's like it's not unrealistic. It's just like drop what you're doing and like pay attention to your kids type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was watching that, it was funny because they were talking about that. Like, if we did think that Gen Zers were the ones, like, or
I
no,
think
when
it's
Gen
now alpha.
whatever one we're on, whatever one it is. But they say if we think that the generation coming up is ruining the country or whatever, because that's what some of the older people say. Matt Fradd was spot on. He said, "Well, if the younger generation, the generation below us, is ruining it, it's our fault."
Hmm.
So like if Adeline and Benedict grew up to be like the worst, I mean, we would be responsible
Yeah,
at least
it's our fault.
partially. You have to say at least 50% responsible up until a
No,
certain
I think
age.
even, yeah, up to a certain age, but I'd
Well, no,
say
yeah.
for the most part, it would be like almost all of our fault because
Yeah.
it would be us who puts them around certain people. Like
Mm,
I have full range to put our kids because I stay with them every
hmm.
single day. I am in charge of who they're around.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can pick and choose.
Yeah.
When we go to a playground and what if there's, I mean, I haven't had to do this yet, but what if there's just like some girls that are picking on Adeline or some
Hmm.
boys who are like picking on Adeline. I've had to, well, actually, no, I have had to. There was a boy that was, we were in like an indoor playground thing, and there's
Hmm.
this like really large ball that was hanging off, and there was a boy that was just like pushing it, and it kept hitting Adeline, and she was just
Hmm.
crying, and
Yeah.
he just kept pushing it. And
Hmm.
I was looking up there, and I said, "Hey,
Hmm.
she doesn't like that. Can you stop?" And he looks at me and like continues to do it. And so I get up there.
Hmm.
I climb up there. There's like so many kids around, but I'm
Hmm.
climbing up there and getting over there. I pick her up and I say, "She doesn't like that. I'm going to take her away." And then I go back down there and we leave.
Yeah.
And at least we leave the play area and then we come out and we sit on a couch because
Hmm.
then I had packed lunches and
Yeah.
yeah. Then I saw the kid um, run to his mom, and I had to force myself to not think
Go.
negatively
Yeah.
because I
Or
mean,
to go over there.
you never
Yeah.
know. I mean, Adeline picks on Benedict sometimes,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
so I'm trying not to think. You have to really focus on not thinking negatively about people that
Yeah.
are not nice to your children or,
Yeah.
the people who are raising the kids that are not nice.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
Adeline is not nice sometimes too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Well, we are gonna wrap up soon, but do you have any advice to people that are either dating or engaged, or we'll start with dating. Like if someone is in the dating world right now, because we know plenty of people, they're in the dating world right now, and I think
do
I
I have
can
any
go
advice?
first. Yeah, I
I
can go
want to go
first.
first. I want
Okay,
to
you
go
go
first.
first. You go first. You're the guest.
um, I would say first, like, um, write down write down the qualities that you want and the boundaries that you set and what you believe in, like what your morals are, and
Mm,
don't compromise in those.
mm,
So know know what you believe,
mm-hmm.
know what you want, and don't compromise in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And that goes straight in with mine, and then mine was gonna be to be patient. Like
Mm,
don't rush into anything, and yeah, and if you do that, writing those lists down, then you're able to really get out there, and I think the more upfront you can be with someone too, the second you know, like you're kind of dating someone, and the second you know, like I don't think this is right for me, is don't feel bad for ending it, and just do it respectfully, and everything will be just fine.
yeah.
Right. And then what about married couples? Even though married couples and dating couples can that can be the same term because we should continue to date each other,
Mhm.
as you always remind me.
Mhm. Marriage, marriage, I would
Marriage.
say,
Hmm.
I tried to type that out. How would you spell that?
I have no idea. I feel like there's still an R in
Marriage.
there, but then you got to put like MAR, then a bunch of W's, and
I
then just
almost spelled
ING.
it Marr, like I was just texting it before we got on
Hmm.
this call. But then I decided to just type it correctly because I didn't know how to spell it. But I put Marriage, but then that
Oh,
spells wage at the bottom or at the
yeah,
end. And so I
marriage.
didn't
That's
want to
kind of what
make
it is.
marriage. But would the I go before the A instead of before the W?
You can make it just real silly and put like Wije.
Wije.
Just so they know it's supposed to be pronounced really absurdly.
Hmm. I'll look it up. I'll see if someone's contemplated that before.
You have the script of
Um,
The Office when Michael says it.
oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Yes, okay. I would say advice for marriage
Hmm.
is advice that I got recently. What was it? Oh, uh,
Oh, I
give
forgot.
give your spouse the most benefit of the doubt than anyone else
Hmm.
because you know that they love you, they chose you,
Hmm.
and that they want the best for you and your family. And
Hmm.
so it's really easy to be hard on your spouse,
Hmm.
and to possibly sometimes blow up,
Hmm.
um, and to just be a little bit more harsh with your words.
Hmm.
And so, what I think it was speak the kindest to your spouse and give them the most benefit of the doubt
Hmm.
than anyone else because we're so easy to give it to anyone else, a stranger, friends,
Hmm.
your children sometimes. Yeah, but do it to your spouse because
Hmm.
that's who you're, that's who you chose. That's who God binded you with.
Hmm.
That's who's going to be there whenever you're old and gray.
Yeah, that was mine too. So no, just kidding. I was gonna say,
What? Wait.
rem gosh, I
Okay.
was gonna say reminding. I'm waiting for someone to. It'll be funny if someone does that. Like I don't even know who would do it, but like if like Bishop Condor was on here, was just like, and they just did it. But mine is gonna to be to constantly remind yourself that your spouse is the most important person.
Mm.
'Cause I think if someone really was to put the list, I think they would want to say, yeah, my spouse is the most important person, but like reminding yourself your spouse is more important than your kids, and your spouse is more important than your parents and grandparents and everything. And so we're just reminding yourself that because then everything else kind of falls in place, and then continue to date each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, well,
Are we,
awesome.
are we still doing the saint?
Oh, do you want to?
Yeah,
I didn't think of mine, but I can think of mine on the fly. Okay,
I
so we're
can
gonna
I can
the
try.
draft. The draft.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do three or five?
Um,
I think we could come up with five.
okay, let's try five.
Okay, I just might not have a reason for some of mine. Mine might be the reason might be because I know the name. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll start with you have to have, and you don't have to. You can pick them in any order, but you have to have a pope, and you have to have. Oh wait, yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to have a pope. Okay, no, we won't do that. We won't make it confusing. Okay, we'll make it confusing later on
Yeah. On
when
the
we
next segment,
when
we'll
we
make
hit.
it super confusing. A pope,
Yeah.
a bishop, an
Hmm.
archbishop. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we hit 100 subscribers, we'll do one that
You have to
is
have 20 saints.
we're not even going to tell you what the rules were, and you're going to have to guess what the rules were. Okay. Anyway, for anyone that's still watching at this point, okay, so we're gonna and we'll clip this as well, so this will be a short. So okay, top five. Oh gosh, so we did these the other day, and we just pulled them out and was like, who is this saint? And I was feeling so good at the very beginning, like the first three or four, and then all of a sudden it was just like every other one. I was like, that one is Saint Augustine. Nope, it's not. No, okay, that one is St. Augustine. Nope. Then we got to the very last one. I was like, I just have no idea. And we flipped in. It said, literally said St. Augustine. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay,
Mm.
let's do this. We'll do this and then we'll wrap it up. We're at 30 minutes. That's awesome. One day we're gonna do 5 hour episodes like pints with like no we're not. No we're not. We're 1000% are never gonna do that.
Hey, that would just be us like on a date.
Yeah. Everyone would be like, why'd you bring this camera into the restaurant? Just kidding. Okay. You go first as the guest. and we're going to go back and forth, and then you guys tell us which team of saints you think could save the entire world if they all lived at the same time, or
Sounds
which group
good.
of saints would make the biggest impact right now, like right now in today's age.
Ooh.
You cheater with those cards. Just oh yeah. Speaking, we spoke of marriage and dating, so there's my Saint Louis and Zelly Martin.
Here's
Nice, Zelly.
Saint Zoe.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. Who's your first
I can go
saint?
first.
Yep, Saint Patrick.
Yep.
Don't quiz me on this. I'm gonna look like an idiot. Saint,
Yes, Saint
Saint.
Patrick. Saint
All right,
Patrick is my first because of
you took Saint
um,
Augustine. Okay, what? I'm just kidding.
Saint Patrick because he casted out demons
Yeah,
with his thing that he says. What
he
is
had a
that
lot of
called?
he had a lot of bravery too, because he actually left and then went back.
Yeah, he was captured. He escaped. Went back. Had these dreams that made him go back
Yeah.
because he wanted. And basically, I mean, if you are Irish,
Mm-hmm.
you could possibly like you should have Saint Patrick as one of your family patron saints because
Mm-hmm.
he could be the reason why your family is Catholic or has ever had any
Yeah,
Catholicism
that's true.
in your lineage or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, my turn.
Yep.
All right, Saint Francis Xavier, patron saint of missionaries, baptized over 300,000 people. Fact checked me on that. No, don't fact check me on that. It might be maybe it's a bunch of people. So that would be my first.
Okay. My next would be Saint Clare of Assisi
Okay.
because she um she saved her. Is it called a monastery for women too?
I don't know.
I
Convent.
don't know either. Convent.
Convent.
Yeah, she saved her convent by just picking up the monstrance
Oh
that
yeah, yeah,
had,
yeah.
yeah, and they
One.
all left.
It's like yeah. So that'd be
The
considered like a
power of the
Eucharistic miracle.
Eucharist.
Okay.
Yes. And then we got to start because I think Benedict's.
Okay, let's keep it going. So we're my second one would be a workhorse, my person who's not afraid to talk to anybody, and the patron saint of this podcast, Saint Philip Neri.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got to be this fast, so we're just gonna keep on going. Okay.
Yeah.
My next, I can actually bring Benedict here. Saint Catherine of Siena.
Okay. Saint Catherine of Siena. Oh, I'm about to make you angry. So then I need a faith warrior. Then I'm gonna take Doctor of the Church, Saint Therese of Lisieux.
I'm not mad at you.
Good,
I
because
already
we're
have my
married.
other two.
Oh, okay. Do you need to go
Okay.
get Benedict first?
No.
Oh
Saint
yeah, that's a good one.
Kateri.
That's a good one.
She shows that faith can be simple if
Mm-hmm.
you just do it with great love.
Yeah.
Super
Okay.
simple. Super, super simple.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Then I'm gonna go with John Paul II.
That's
I
very
think
good one.
actually,
My Polish man.
no, that's not his. I thought that was maybe his crucifix right there, but it's not. I have it somewhere in here though.
I
But
have his crucifix above the stove.
oh yeah, we do. Okay,
Yep.
so that's my fourth. So what? You got one more.
One more.
Hmm.
My next one is Saint Ignatius.
I can't see it. Move it over to your left.
Saint
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Ignatius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of Loyola.
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically because he can probably change a whole bunch of hearts with his meditations.
Mm. Yeah.
With if you are intentional with his meditations, boom, like
Hmm.
your heart can be changed.
Yeah. And that's your fifth one.
Yep.
My fifth one is someone I really, really like and probably who I know the most about. Just personally, not like more than anybody. And he's not a saint yet. But, but I'm going to go with
Father
Venerable
Al?
Father Al, Father Aloysius Schwartz. I think is how you say it. And that's who I'm going with. Who, if you are Korean, specifically South Korea, if you're Korean or Mexico, Philippines, India. He was instrumental in the boys' towns and girls' towns, but specifically Korea. He literally rebuilt the church in South Korea. So if you're Korean, then you should have a tattoo of him on your face. I'm just kidding. But I don't know why I said face, but I meant to just say on your body. But okay, well, you guys let us know which you guys think saints would change the world.
And
Baby,
if Lindsay would win or if Josh would win.
yeah, you let us know why Josh would win. And I'm just kidding. Uh,
Also, can show my
whoa. I always want to say
Quo
quo vadis, but what do you
Nope,
say?
Quo
Quo is the D
And it,
silent?
I guess so. I think that's how you
Okay.
say it. But you can't, can you see the little thing?
Not really. It's really small.
Okay, well, it's emotional virtue. I think it's
Okay.
emotionalvirtue.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually has to do with dating.
And that's free.
And
We're not even sponsored by them because
yes,
we're not sponsored by anybody.
yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Okay,
baby,
I
thank
gotta
you
go
for
get it
joining.
fixed.
Thank you for joining. I love you. I will see you at home. And everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.